This is a short video on how to generate new part numbers in E-Link. New numbers are generated in E-Link for manufacturing items, designed in Creo, as well as EPDM, SolidWorks, as well as all purchasing part numbers. To generate a new number, you simply go to the item menu and new part number. I want to focus on the top section right now. The top section is for generating part numbers that will be auto assigned from E-Link. The type of numbers that can be assigned are manufacturing Creo part numbers. Anything in Creo that has a drawing that's manufactured shall have a 2 number. There's also legacy manufacturing drawing, so the same concept, but in SolidWorks, the number shall start with a 1. All manufacturing electrical drawings will start with an E, and it'll have the same sequence as this 2, but there'll be an E in the front standing for electrical drawings. OEM parts, those are purchase parts. Those are very specific purchase parts to a manufacturer, such as a Fisher valve, or an NBC hand valve, or an SCV check valve. If there is a brand associated with the item, it shall get an M number, an OEM. So it'll be an M, and then it'll have the 2 same sequence. A COTS part number is a commonly off-the-shelf item that stands for commonly off-the-shelf COTS. That would be something such as a gasket, hardware, bolting hardware, pipe clamps. You are not going to go to a specific manufacturer for these items. So a U-bolt, for example, could be manufactured by many companies. You would get a COTS number for that. Again, it's the same sequence. So a manufacturing number with a 2, an electrical number with an E2, and an OEM with an M2, and a COTS with a C2. If you do make a mistake and you assign a purchasing number to something that's manufacturing, it can be changed. Just send an email to Robert and just say, I made an OEM number, an M2, XXXX, whatever the number is. Could you please change that to a manufacturing number? I meant to click the 2, for example. Also, family grouping numbers. This is not really to be used too much. This is for convenient groupings, phantom bill of materials that are not fully implemented. Kit grouping numbers should really say shipping kit numbers. We are starting to make more packing lists with these kit numbers. We have electrical CIL part numbers, mechanical CIL part numbers, and major equipment list items. All of these 3 sections really are to be used by PREA or process engineering. So please don't generate any ECILs, MCILs, or PMELs because they're really bill of material lists that are defined out of QPS. NCR part number, we don't have an NCR system yet, but you can create a unique NCR number, as well as documents. So not all documents, not many documents will go into E-Link, but if the document needs to be approved and shared with others, you can get a document number. Just make sure in your Word document or your Excel document that you actually put the document number in the header so that it can be easily found. Items such as ASME calculations, those items really should not go into E-Link under their own part number because they will always be attached to a vessel part number. So we'll get into the uploading in a few minutes. Let's just create a manufacturing number. Actually, no, let's create a purchasing number. So I have an item that I need to buy for the compressor. I've already generated the number earlier, but I will generate it again. So I want to create an OEM number because it's a specific SKF. It's a leveling pad. You could just enter something meaningful here is good. Get auto part number. Once you get the auto part number, usually it doesn't take this long. You want to check your internet connection and make sure everything is okay. Seems like the server is busy. I just click the back button and we will get it again. Right now E-Link is on a shared server with Creo Windchill. So sometimes if you've noticed E-Link to be slow, it's typically because Creo is doing something big. We'll just wait here for a sec. I'm just going to go to the home page, and when that comes alive, then I'll know Creo is finished. Okay, I just paused the video there. Let's go again here and see if it works. SKF leveling pad. Generate private new numbers. You will always want to keep this checked off. I'm not sure if Quadrant India is able to check that. Okay, so there is a new number, and you can see I forgot to get an OEM number. So this number right now, 25991, is a manufacturing number. So I made a mistake. So at this point, I would send this this number to Robert. Just ask him to change this into a manufacturing number. For now, I will just reserve this number for myself to use later. Number to be used by Robert, which I can go to the home screen and I can search on this keywords, and I will find a few numbers that I have reserved over the past few weeks. Let's go back to new numbers and let's make sure to pick an OEM. This is a purchase part number. In this case, you can see the sequence is 25992, which is actually the next number in the sequence, but it now has an M in the front. And that's kind of important for searching. The reason why we've done these a little bit intelligent part numbers is just to help with searching. So at this point, you want to fill in this data card. You have your description. Typically for material, if it's a purchased item, you can simply enter the material information, but it's a good idea also to enter, say, the vendor part number. I have it in the drop down here. So the material, when you're purchasing something, typically is not just the stainless steel or carbon steel, but you can put the vendor part number there, or the manufacturing part number. You have the universal resource link, the URL. If you have a web page, Universal Resource Locator, I guess that stands for. Basically, if you have a web page, it's thrown in there. The vendor and the vendor part number. So in this case, the vendor is coming from a company called BDI, and that vendor part number, I have, it could be anything, but we'll just make it up here. The manufacturer for this particular item is SKF, and it has a part number as well. It's an SM16- carbon steel treated. If this was a piping component or a valving component, I could have my size in and out. This is in fractional sizes, inch sizes, as well as the connection type. So this is handy if it's a valve, MPT valve. You could say it's a 3/4 inch in, female MPT, and a 3/4 inch out, female MPT. But we don't have that for this item. So I'll just clear that out. A couple other items to note is purchasing must be checked off. It will be by default if you get the right part number, not like what I did earlier. You will have this part is purchased, as well as this purchasing responsibility. This shows up in some different reports that are coming out for the CILs, for example, so that QIPL will know what they need to purchase, and QPS will need to know what they need to purchase. You can skip this, Phantom, skip Children. This is a bill of materials stuff. We could talk about that later. Purchasing notes. This will show up on the purchase order one day if you use E-Link for the purchase orders. We do at QPS. So when I want to add specific notes on the PO, I have this section here, and then specific electrical notes. So again, if I'm talking about a valve, I might have a 24 VDC power source with a control signal that's 420 milliamp, and if it has feedback, I can enter these details in these boxes. These fields right here are saved using the save page at the top or the save page at the bottom. Most users will not have access to change the state. Internal notes. Everyone can enter internal notes. So I can say this is to be used in the Howden Quadrigen compressor project. I think it's 804. Just note that anything that's entered into this field must be saved using this button. So now if I click this refresh button, I can see that this page has fully loaded. If I enter some items in this box here and I just click on the save page here, it looks like it's saved, but if I refresh it, you'll see it's not been saved. This button only applies to this box here. This save status, this save page and this save page button are the same button. They apply to all fields. There's some inventory information here that's not it's not live, so you can ignore that. And that's how you create a part number. This is a purchasing item, so I will have a data sheet. I will have some documents potentially that I would like to attach to this. So you can upload, I believe, up to about 6 or 8 files for each part number. And right now this is a revision A. If this is good, I'm just going to change this to a 0 and I'm going to save the page. The revision right now is purely manual. You can leave it, revision A is fine for a purchase part. Sometimes I like to just go with revision 0. That tells other people that I'm ready to buy this component. Uploading files. There is an icon here that's a little arrow. If you click on that, you'll have a couple options. You can have the ability to load this page from another part number. That helps if you're making multiple numbers, multiple items of very similar items. You could just keep loading from a root page. I'm going to just ignore this load from option, and I'm going to pick this choose file. So this choose file will allow me to browse to any file that I might have stored on my drive. I have a temporary location that I typically keep files. I will click it and I will upload it, and that file will now be in E-Link. If I would like to upload another file, I can click it, the icon, the little arrow icon, choose files, and using the shift key, I could upload maybe 2 files. So now I have 2 files to upload, and if you click on those files are now in E-Link against this part number. And if we just click on these files, they're live. These files, you do not have to click the save page, but it doesn't hurt. You can always click the save page. If I click refresh, these files are still there. I did not have to click the save page in order to have these files here. I just uploaded just a couple files for reference. When the part is new, you will be able to delete it as well. So this was an accident, or I didn't mean to do this, I can just delete that. There is no undo. So be careful. There's no confirmation and there is no undo. So if you delete a file, it's gone. In this case, we'll just delete it. When this part is ready to be approved, you can send an email to Barry or Robert or Priya, and you can ask for their approval of this part. The approval process is quite simple, and it can also happen in India with a designated person that will have the access. Once this part is deemed to be approved, the user that has access would click on this drop down, and he would select the approval state, global approved, and then now you'd click save status. Approving this part locks anybody out from modifying it. You want to approve all purchase parts. Eventually, when something gets approved and gets purchased, you do not want to have the data changing without anybody's knowledge. Note that Creo files and SOLIDWORKS files, there is no uploading. Those are done automatically through the Creo Windchill system or through the SOLIDWORKS EPDM system. When those files go through the approval process, typically Robert approves those, that's myself. PDFs will get generated automatically, and E-Link will pick up those PDFs automatically, which is quite convenient. For electrical drawings, unfortunately, depending on the software that we're using, we could have E-Link pick those PDFs up automatically as well. But at this point, it's really save as PDF and then upload to E-Link. So it's a bit cumbersome, but potentially we can improve that. Let me just talk quickly about searching. So this guy, I did say that I have another part number for this. So I have an SKF leveling pad, which is a global new part, and that is just what we assign. Actually, that is not what we just assigned, because I think this part got put in when we had problems with the system. So I'm gonna just exclude this. I'm just gonna exclude this from the search. We don't want that in there. So now we will go to SKF. We'll just kind of search on what we got for SKF pads. This is the one that I know is real because I know the index is not too far away. This 992, this is what we just looked at. So if I load this page, you can see that the file is still uploaded, and the searching, I just searched on SKF pads, but if you know the vendor part number or the manufacturing part number, you can enter that in there, and you can see E-Link. If you just be patient, give E-Link time to respond, you can see that it's returned 2 records. Again, this is an approved part. This one here really, for purposes of demonstration, shouldn't be globally approved, so I'm just going to say global obsolete, and we'll save the status on that. But as well as, I'm going to exclude it from the search. I'm not 100% sure if everyone has access to exclude from search. Be careful when you're using this. If you exclude something from a search, you will never find it again unless it's part of a bill of material or unless you know the number specifically. So for example, now if I go back and I enter that model number, I only see the 1 record. And this is the real record, I guess you could say, that I created earlier, that pretty much has all the same information, but for the purposes of demonstration, that is how you create new part numbers. Stay tuned for the next video where we will look at bill of materials and looking at the different reports like where used, as well as CIL reports. You can browse these and you can try these out, but I will make a updated